Hey guys, Coney here. So you probably noticed that the video that I have is way different than the video that I have made from the channel. So in case you missed something, I actually made a video a couple days back in regards to the possibilities of doing challenges in solo mode on the new co-op event called Reminiscent Regiment in Genshin Impact. Now, right before at the end of that video, I actually included a video clip of the post that I made on Twitter in regards to the new game that I bought on Steam. Well, in case you know, that new game that I just bought was released a couple days back. So that is why in today's video, we are going to play Love, Money, Rock and Roll. So if you guys are interested to play or to know more about this game, the link in the description below. It's now available on Steam. So let's see if Soviet Games actually made changes in this game. So without further ado, let's get into it. Oh. Oh, they changed their logo. Huh. Oh, wow. I remember this part before. This was the first video that I had made a couple years back on my old YouTube channel before I deleted it. And that music brings me back to good old days, a couple years back, before pandemic hits. Now let's save the settings. Let's see. Oh, nice. The game appearance and graphics user interface. Oh, we have now a VHS filter and skip. Nice. Random background. Sure, why not? Let's give it a try. Character animation. Oh, background animation. That's the music volume. It's about 5%. Alright. Play music while paused. Oh, that's quite interesting. Nice. Autosave, auto forward, show hints. I don't even know what this thing actually works, but I had to skip on this one because I have a feeling that this might be a little bit of a cheat because I have a feeling that this might be some kind of a cheating system to the game to, you know, get into yourself no trouble depending on the choices you have made. But man, let's see in the gallery. Let's see if they made some changes in the gallery. So they changed the UI as well. Oh my god, a lot of music. Let's see the background, still no data. CG, still the same. Alright, what do we have here? Let's see if we can make a change about it. Game appearance, clean or immersive? I should stick with the clean one. And what about the GUI style? Classic. Oh wait, hang on a second. Oh, I miss it. I remember this. I fucking remember the settings before. Oh my god. Brings back memories. Nice. Anyway, let's go back to the modern one. So a lot of things have changed in this game, and same goes to the logo right here. Also, disclaimer, I already played this game before, so it's gonna take me a while just in case if they make changes on this one. But if they are making some changes in this game, so I might as well have to go and do something very, very interesting at this one. So anyway, before we continue, hit the subscribe button, also hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. And I'm pretty sure that you guys are not a big fan of visual novel games, but if you do want to stick on this one, so I really appreciate it. Anyway, new game. Way different than I have. Okay, so April 3rd, 1987. Oh my god. Oh my So they can actually click the word that I highlighted. Oh my god, I missed this one. Anyway, to those who are watching right now, please enjoy. These falling sakura petals. Does anyone really find them beautiful? Does anyone really see a deep meaning in their world? Maybe this interplay of color, The purple velvet against the setting sun does mesmerize. Back then, I must have thought the same as I watched the leaves fall. Maybe too much time has passed. I have forgotten. I have changed. Only the trees are still the same. They don't care. They came into the world before me, and they will yet outlive my descendants. They don't care for the beauty of their falling petals, their speed, direction, or angle. It's all the same to them. Why would they bother with such minutiae? To them, this is nothing more than a routine change of the seasons. To me, though, it is a flood of memories. The tree in front of me now is exactly the same as it was that day. The day when I had to something. The day when it was too late to do anything. It's the same. The same are the petals too, falling with perfidious indifference. They truly don't care. They don't care if one day a photographer makes an entire exhibition of their images, or if a pair of sweethearts falls even more deeply in love, enchanted by their ceaseless dance. That's how nature is. It's not how I am. Same as that day, a year ago. That day the petals were falling off the trees as well. Back then too, nature was lying down. Not dying, no, but falling asleep, to wake up again in the spring. Its fire of life were kindled. Sitting under this tree, I remember all the joy and all the sadness. Oh my. Okay. Do you really love me? Yes. Truly? Yes. She turned away while the petals kept falling, getting tangled in her hair and making her look even more beautiful. You know, cherry petals really suit you. She turned around. She probably didn't want to. She probably expected something else. Elegant phrases, intelligent words, something that wasn't this. Really? Yes, of course. She smiled. I, too, must have expected something different. Feelings, confessions, as beautiful as those fluttering petals. But at that time, those words were more important to me than anything else. More important than the tree. More important than the moment. More important than life itself. Because I realized that they were like a petal. Because I realized that they were like a petal resting in my hand before it fell to the ground, so near, so fragile, so precious. Whew, okay, so how was it, guys? How was it? Okay, 12/06, 1987. Oh, I can see the ambience. I can see the ambience right there. I woke up. The fan was humming so obnoxiously as ever. Its noise must have been what woke me up. I was sick of it, of course, but it was a necessary evil. The summer heat was relentless, even with the doors open. It was 3 in the morning and the silence was sickening. Dear God, better to hear the blaring of police sirens, or the shouting of a tipsy neighbor, or the screeching of car tires. Anything but this obnoxious fan. I would have turned it off long ago, but then I would have certainly been cooked alive by the heat. Hell, Russian winters had nothing on Japanese summers. With effort, I got up and went to the kitchen for some water. What were Russian winters like anyway? Muffled creaking came from the floorboards under my feet. But the rest of the house, which consisted of 3 bedrooms, a living room, a bathroom, and some pantries, paid no attention to its sole inhabitant. Damn, it really was 3 a.m. I gulped the water down greedily, spilling half over myself. Next morning, I had to go to school. Had to? Why, exactly? Maybe I was the one who came up with these stupid duties and responsibilities, straddling myself with the necessity of socializing and waiting for the useless piece of paper that would attest to possessing me a high school education. I must have invented this world myself, as was my wont. I must have made up some alongside all the other worlds that I have fabricated daily, for myself, for those I knew, for the whole world. These obligations were nothing but stupid conventions of that world. By a stroke of bad luck, it was also the world that most people viewed as the real one. I poured myself another glass of water and returned to bed. The moon shone brightly, animating every speck of dust. In its mournful light, my room looked entirely different, like a portal to another world. A world that was beyond even my imagination. A silver ray fell on the table, inching towards the heap of papers. School papers, an unfinished novel, letters from my mother, from friends in Russia. And I got up and put a particular scrap of paper into a drawer. Has it been a year since it arrived? Or why should it even bother me? Then again, why was it on my table? I should have tossed it long ago. I jumped up, took a step towards the table, and came to a halt. How could I? It's not as if I hadn't tried before. More than once. Oh, the phone rang loudly. Okay, so you might be encountering a new character that will be accompanying the story in this game, so pay attention. Very loudly. It was 3 in the morning. Who could possibly need to talk to me at this hour? To a dejected high schooler sunk in self-reflection. Although I was used to it. Answer. Hello? Hi, you're not asleep? As you can tell, I felt a strong desire to hang up and disconnect the phone. But stronger still, I wished that she could be here now, close by. How come? How should I know? Probably because you called me. She mumbled something unintelligible. How are things in general? How should things be in general at 3 in the morning? I don't know. Great. Then they're great. Oh, quit it. Well, what did you want to hear? I just wanted to call. You thought it was okay to call at 3 a.m. I saw the light come on in your kitchen, so I figured you were up. Are you spying on me? And no, I was just... The line went silent for a few seconds. She must have been trying to think of something that wouldn't sound too ridiculous. It's just that I couldn't sleep either. Why either? What if I had been sleeping? But you weren't. Alright. Let's start from the beginning. What did you want? I wanted to know... She paused mid-sentence as if working up the courage before continuing more confidently. Are you coming to school tomorrow? What if I am? Then I'll come get you in the morning. Now that's just great. It's 3 in the morning and you're going to come by. When? In 3 hours? So we won't be late. You know what? I don't think I'm going to pass. Hey, you can't keep missing school. At this rate, you won't be able to graduate, and then you won't be able to find a good job, and then... She got entirely tangled up in predictions of my future. Oh, well, no biggie. It won't be a biggie. Leave the door unlocked in the morning. You have your keys. What does it matter if I lock the door? Oh, right. See you in the morning then. See you. I didn't feel like arguing. What was the point anyway? She would come and wake me up regardless. It's what she did almost every day. Why did I ever give her keys? Well, that was a while back. It must have been about a year. The cherry petals were probably falling in that day as well. But to hell with them. I made sure to set my alarms so I'd be up before she came. Not that it mattered much, but this was getting old. What's more, I worried that I was getting too accustomed to it, seeing her familiar face every morning. Dependent even, which was something I absolutely couldn't allow to happen. So if she wanted to come in the morning, fine, but she wouldn't be waking me up again. Whew, nice. Alright, September 7, 1987. We're good to go. So am I recording? Yes, and I am recording. That's good. Okay, that's kind of loud. That's kind of loud. Alright, so what have we got here? Alright. 100 bells chimed with 100 melodies in my head, announcing the morning. In that medley were the cheerful chirping of the birds, the construction on the neighboring street, the boisterous shouts of street vendors, the damned fan that hadn't quit humming for a second, and the grumpy muttering somewhere close by. Himitsu! It's okay. This girl right here, her name is Himitsu, and she will be the first character that will be interacting in this game. The fixed gaze of large green eyes, the pouting lips, the two red braids all informed me that I had slept in. What time is it? The girl picked up the alarm clock and shoved it in my face. But it's still early, I protested. The early bird gets the worm. This is Himitsu. I feel like I've known her my whole life. Or at least since my parents and I moved to Japan. Her mother is Russian, although she divorced Himitsu's father when we were still children. Okay, enough lounging around. Time to get up, wash up, eat breakfast, and go to school. This is how most of my days start. Though after all these years, I've grown used to it. Incidentally, I forgot to introduce myself. Nikolai, a high school senior. Okay, another highlight word. So, kun is a Japanese honorific used when addressing male friends or junior subordinates. It's actually the same thing that they did on the early access beta, so it's a good point right there. Alright, Nico-kun. Himitsu's voice carried throughout the entire house, and it no longer felt quite so empty and lonely. I quickly showered and dressed, and then went into the kitchen. This house really was too big for one person. In fact, it was probably designed for a multi-generational family. Grandparents, parents, children, grandchildren. All the empty space felt oppressive, even when my parents were still with me. Now, it felt like a museum or a library. Who in their right mind would want to live in one of those, especially by themselves? Bon appetit! Same to you. An omelette and several kinds of salad graced the table. I picked up a piece of cucumber with my chopsticks and lazily rolled it around the plate. Not hungry? I am, but I can't live off grass like a rabbit. Himitsu frowned. So instant ramen is better in your book. Fast food type of noodles. I don't know about better, but it's certainly tastier. Hey! She puffed out her cheeks comically, which made her look like a cute hamster. I put real work into it, you know? Knockout. I could say nothing to counter that, so I concentrated on chewing. What are you planning to do after school today? I don't know. Kyosuke wanted to go to the movies, I think. Did you have another idea? She set her chopstick aside and looked at me intently as if about to say something important. Maybe. She laughed, trying to hide her embarrassment. Never mind, it's not important. Himitsu is in love with me. I've known this for a long time, but have done nothing about it. At some point, I grew so used to it that I couldn't tell anymore whether she loves me as a brother or a man. To be perfectly honest, I didn't care one way or another. If you want to go somewhere, I can reschedule a movie. It can do without me tonight. Her face gleamed with an earnest smile. Well, actually, I wanted to check out this one store near the station. It just opened. The girls at school won't stop talking about it. Someone else in my shoes might have considered this a date. But I simply enjoyed spending time with Himitsu. She seemed content with our arrangement too. You haven't finished your breakfast. Nor did I plan to. I might still have to eat more grass for lunch. Why didn't you ever make borscht or dumplings or something? Borscht isn't breakfast, and besides, I've made it before. Himitsu pouted. She made it before, true, but not the same way I remembered from my childhood. I wasn't about to tell her that. It's one thing not to know how to do something. You can always learn. It's quite another to both know and do, yet fail to meet expectations. When that's the case, there's a good chance that you'll never learn. You're right. Sorry. Your borscht is very good. Borscht. Yeah. Borscht. I repeated. Himitsu glared at me. Anyone else in her place would have long since emptied this bowl of imaginary borscht over my head. So, what's the store you were talking about? They sell clothes. She kept staring at me. Dresses, sweaters, skirts, clothing. Women's clothing. Do you think maybe you should go with one of your girlfriends then? I'm not saying no, it just might be a bit awkward. Why? I don't know. It's just the way things are here, and you know how I'm not always great with local customs. I was telling the truth. Anyone else would have long since gotten used to the Japanese way of life, to Japanese traditions and cultural norms. Or at least to the ways of the local high schoolers. That's... no one's going to think anything. It's not like we're... Well, Himitsu was now completely flustered, which was making her upset. I couldn't tell if she was more upset with me or with herself. Sometimes when I talked to Himitsu, and not only her, I would hit a dead end. I no longer knew what was expected of me, while the other person couldn't understand why I didn't get it. In the end, the entire meaning of the conversation would end up buried under an avalanche of misunderstanding, which snowballed with every new remark. At such times, it was better to agree or to remain silent. Alright, it's fine. No one's going to think anything. Why would they? Exactly. Himitsu said triumphantly and went to watch the dishes. What was this kind of weather? Early in the fall, cold in Russia, grandma's summer? Warm period at the beginning of autumn. Nice. In Japan, at any rate, it was still very hot at the beginning of September. Himitsu walked alongside me, smiling. Excuse me. I occasionally glanced over at her, trying to figure out what was on her mind. Not that I was particularly interested. More likely, I was just trying to distract myself from my own thoughts. The image of the fallen cherry petals kept surfacing in my mind, dragging up painful memories. As for Himitsu, she never broached the subject. Was she keen to avoid reopening the wound, or was she just showing tact? Trains. Hey, Earth to Nico-kun, do you copy? Uh-huh. What? I had clearly been daydreaming. We're almost there and you're still sleeping. Himitsu knit her brow. As always, her displeasure looked more comical than intimidating. I'm not sleeping. I'm solving the world's problems in my head. Oh yeah? What sort of problems? She laughed. The political sort? Not even geopolitical. Who else will solve them if not yours truly? Your grades are a little underwhelming for a future politician. That's not important. There've been plenty of great people who didn't get the best grades in school. Take Einstein, for instance. I see. Himitsu smirked. We would have probably kept chit-chatting like this if it weren't for a scuffle happening that moment at the school gate. Oh, I remember this one. Hang on. Several people had surrounded the girl from a distance. We couldn't see who it was. Look, said Himitsu quietly, slowing down. I listened in. Excuse me. She probably wears the same skirt all year. It must be a hand-me-down from her older sister. And these are just a bunch of delinquents who are trying to pick on this character right here. I forgot what her name is. Anyway, how does a blonde like her even get admitted to our school? It's not a halfway house. Go work at the fish market. Careful now, you might catch something from her. It's not like I was going to, you know, with her. Hey, you're onto something. I bet that's how she spends her nights, earning a little side cash. Poor thing. Himitsu paused for a second. Isn't she in your class? I looked more closely. She did look familiar. I think so. Are you saying you don't even know who your classmates are? Of course I do. That's Hita Iwamura. I fixed my hair and looked triumphantly at Himitsu. She was not impressed. In fact, she's our class president. Himitsu was still looking at me reproachfully. Well, what? I've never spoken much with her. And anyway, this is the first time we're together in the same class, so it's only been 6 months. Meanwhile, the scuffle, if you could call it, was picking up steam. The girl remained stubbornly silent, only dropping her head lower with every minute. This only continued to encourage the bullies. Come on, who would pay money for someone like her? Except maybe a couple hundred yen. The speaker made a show of opening his wallet, stuffed with bills, pulling out a handful and waving them in front of Iwamura. This is really getting out of hand. I muttered under my breath, but the other students walked right on past, pretending not to notice anything. These damn traditions again. This isn't right. And you don't. Oh, let's just tell the teacher. He immediately tugged lightly at my sleeve. Hey, what's the teacher going to do? Scold him? My, aren't you ashamed of yourselves? I was starting to get worked up. I had to think about it. What business of mine was this? A fellow classmate? So what? I hadn't exchanged more than a couple words with her before this day. Still, it was hard to watch one poor girl getting picked apart by an entire pack. Intervened. Why should I stay on the sidelines? What if Himitsu were in her place? After all, we weren't exactly the richest kids at this school either. Sorry. Himitsu only smiled slightly in response. Hey! I yelled and headed confidently in their direction. Leave her alone. At first, they just looked at me in surprise. Iwamura, on the other hand, kept staring at the ground and didn't react at all. Okay, there's 4 of them. So they actually redesigned the characters too. This one. Hey, that guy looks like some character from Baki. And who would you be? What do you care? Keep walking. Their tone was challenging, but that only boosted my confidence. 4 against 1. Don't you think that's a bit unfair? You want some too, is that it? Oh. 2 guys from the group stepped forward, cracking their knuckles for emphasis. No, I heard that. Seems like they could do more than talk trash. What's the hero gonna do now? One of them smirked. Yeah, what? To tell the truth, I didn't know either. I'd been compelled to stand up for Iwamura by some kind of inflamed sense of justice. No more. Because here, you weren't supposed to act this way. And there, you were supposed to help your neighbor. But real life isn't manga or anime. In real life, I had no superpowers. You're about to find out. I got up close to one of them and froze. And what now? But the guy staggered back, clearly rattled. Who do you think you are? The same instant, the second guy rushed up to me, clearly intending to shove me in the chest. My reflexes kicked in before I could think. And yeah, out swung my arm. Crack came the sound of the assailant's jaw. The world around me seemed to freeze. Iwamura, the other girls, and even the guy who I'd just punched all stared, seemingly transfixed with surprise. but this only lasted an instant. Do you have any idea who my father is? One of the girls shouted. Huh. Don't yell, let's just go. He's some sort of a psycho. Another girl tried to calm her friend down. The second guy helped his fallen friend up the ground. This isn't over. We'll remember you. With these words, they quickly headed away from the school. Himitsu rushed over to me the same instant. Are you alright? Yes, of course. I replied calmly while examining my slightly swollen fist. Surprisingly, I wasn't shaking with adrenaline, as might have been expected. Everything must have happened too suddenly. Iwamura senpai? Japanese honorific, addressing upperclassmen or older, experienced co-workers. In all the commotion, I had forgotten all about the chief cause of this kerfuffle. She stood silently, peering sullenly at us from under her eyebrows. Are you alright? Fighting is prohibited on school grounds, she said quietly. What? A dumb smile spread across my face. I looked over at Himitsu. She looked just as confused as I was. I'm saying that there was no need to get into a fight. In case you haven't noticed, I was kind of defending you. They would have left in the end. Iwamura went silent for a second and looked up at me. Her eyes flashed, but just as quickly her indifferent demeanor returned. They always do. Regardless, you could at least say thank you. It's just common courtesy. I was even more upset now than a minute earlier. And not only here, but in the whole wide world. Iwamura's only response was to raise her chin, snort, and quickly make her way towards the school gate. Oh, that's just unreal. I told you not to get involved, Himitsu said quietly. But you did act like a real hero. Some hero, right. Where have you seen heroes like this? In movies, the heroes get thanked for saving someone. But you didn't do it for the sake of gratitude, did you? Himitsu kept smiling, which made me flustered. Well, we'll see what sort of gratitude the teachers give me. I grumbled. Come on, let's go. Another routine school day had now begun. I couldn't remember my Russian school at all, even though I'd attended it for an entire 6 months. But for some reason, it seemed to me that schools were more or less the same everywhere in the world. As were people, really, how many ways could there be to get stuff into a kid's noggin? If Marconi and Popov could independently of each other invent the radio, why couldn't identical best practices emerge in education at opposite ends of the earth? A shot from the teacher snapped me out of these thoughts. Whatever school was like in Russia, school here was pretty strict. There was a reason, after all, and why this was one of the best schools in the country. My class consisted largely of the children of rich and famous businessmen, politicians, showbiz stars. Sometimes I felt out of place here. But then, even among this elite, there were people who were almost ordinary. One such person, Kyosuke, came up to me during break. I had known Kyosuke since middle school. He came across as a down-to-earth guy with none of the attitude of local privileged youth. Hey Nick, did you hear what's happened this morning? I looked around the classroom and spotted one of the girls that had been harassing Iwamura. She gave me a mean look, but then quickly went back to what she had been doing. Whatever. No, what happened? I asked, even though I knew perfectly well what Kyosuke was referring to. This morning, at the school gate. Kyosuke lowered his voice. There was a brawl. Some word for it. Couldn't we think of a better one? Yeah, well, I'm aware. What do you mean? Did you... His eyes lit up, he leaned towards me and then continued a rapid-fire pace. Are you the guy? The one who punched Kyosuke from Class B? Somehow I neglected to ask his name. I answered proudly. It immediately winced. There was nothing to be proud of here. Now everyone was going to gossip about what a dangerous bully I was, and no one was going to remember that I had actually saved the poor girl from harassment. Don't get the wrong idea, I was just defending. My eyes were scurrying the classroom in search of Iwamura. Was defending, but she wasn't there. Was I really looking to her for proof of my heroic deed, or confirmation that I wasn't just a troublemaker? Well, anyway, I was defending a girl. A girl? Who? Kyosuke squinted. I don't know who she is. Anyway, what's it matter? It was a natural reaction, you know. Anyone in my place. I looked up at Kyosuke. Any decent person would have done the same. Uh-huh, yeah, sure. Don't forget to introduce me to this mystery girl of yours. He seemed to want to add something, but at that moment the school bell rang. He didn't need to know that the girl was Iwamura. She had it pretty rough, as it was. Then again, maybe part of the blame lay with her. Excuse me. The next lesson was contemporary Japanese. I've been in Japan for 10 years now and speak the language fluently, of course, but writing still gives me a grief at times. When the break arrived, I rushed to the classroom to avoid continuing conversation about the morning's incident. Kyosuke could be pushy and persistent, but it didn't entirely lack tact, so I was probably being too cautious. English was next. It came much more easily to me. I spent the better part of the lesson gazing out of the sports ground, where a soccer match was taking place. Soon my thoughts took me far from school, to the day when the cherry petals were falling. Fall was here, and that meant that the trees would soon be shedding their foliage again. The call path might be different this time, but will my feelings remain the same? A couple more weeks, a month at most, and I would know. The bell recalled me to reality, and stomach had started gurgling noisily. Yeah, time to eat something. Didn't have breakfast today? Well, let's make a cafeteria run. You're always ready to chow down. Where there's a whole body, there's a whole mind. A whole lot of body. More like it. I was, however, really hungry, and I didn't want to wait till lunch. Alright, let's go. The memory of Himitsu's healthy, balanced breakfast was still fresh in my mind. I wanted to eat something unhealthy, but delicious. Sadly, food poisoning was not on the menu. The cafeteria, like everything else at the school, was first-rate. I couldn't tell you if the food here was on par with what they serve in the world's top restaurants, as I hadn't been to one, but on the whole, I had no complaints. Besides, the menu had plenty of European options. No borscht among them, of course. We entered the cafeteria. Kyosuke was babbling on about some new magical girl anime. I wouldn't call myself a huge anime fan, but I watch them sometimes too. Though, if you had to put my enthusiasm for them on a scale, I was as far from Kyosuke as Tokyo is from Moscow. Suddenly, bam! Something jabbed my side, not too hard but enough to be felt. On top of that, I was doused with a liquid. Oh, okay. I forgot her name, but her last name was Kobayashi. Yeah. A girl holding a tray popped up from behind. I was dripping with orange juice while she gazed in bewilderment at the fruit of her labor. Hey, careful! I was more frustrated than angry. She didn't react in any way, instead she just kept looking at me in surprise. Finally, she seemed to come to her senses. Oh, they changed her as well. Nice. Excuse me. You're the one who should watch where you're going. What? I was so taken by a smile like an idiot and didn't even retreat a step. Meanwhile, the girl scowled and glared at me. I said, watch where you go instead of sleepwalking. You were actually the one who bumped into me. And why would I bump into you? I was lost for an answer. The girl was talking nonsense, but she was doing it so confidently that I couldn't help but question my own judgment. And why would I? How should I know? You're the one who bumped into me. Alright, you got me. It won't happen again. I snapped back and was prepared to leave. Wait, she said quietly. You're... well, all wet. I look myself over. Not the prettiest pictures, to be sure. And what do you suggest? A joint trip to the shower? Me? I wasn't. How could you even think? Surprisingly confused, her face had given way to indignation. Here was an insulted and humiliated victim, and I the culprit. Naturally. Okay, just forget it. Everything's fine. Wait. Her tone changed faster than the weather is in the tropics. Here, take this. She handed me a handkerchief. I accepted it without an argument and was about to thank her when she snorted, turned on her heel, and left to join her girlfriends at the far end of the cafeteria. What a strange girl. Nick, you... started Kyosuke when I sat down at our table. He was flaring his nostrils and gasping like a fish out of water. Do you know who that was? No, who? That was Eli-sama. Japanese honorific, addressing someone with most possible respect and reverence. Okay. He looked probably at me as though expecting me to explain. Oh, Eli-sama, you mean her? Sama who? I inquired coolly. How can you not know? If you want people to believe you're a student here. I don't want that. It's what the paperwork says. If only you paid more attention to what goes on around you. Alright, enough suspense already. Just tell me. He was clearly chomping at the bit. Kyosuke repositioned himself more comfortably on his chair, assumed a serious look, and began. Eli-sama, she's like the school queen. She has perfect grades, she's great at sports, she won awards at the national. No, not even the international level. Not the interplanetary. What a relief. Anyone would consider it an honor to be acquainted with her. To have her spill a drink on you? Is that what you mean? Kyosuke ignored me and carried on. I'd give up my entire manga collection to have her start a conversation with me. Your entire collection. Okay, half. I squinted. Fine, a third. Alright, I get it. I should expect the police to show up at my door now and await my sentence. Death by Glarus. Except, hold on a second. I'm completely innocent. You don't get it at all. Kyosuke sighed. Then again, maybe you should expect the police. After all, her grandfather is the chairman of the school board of directors. And what am I supposed to do now? Keep apologizing to her? She was the one who bumped into me and spilled juice all over me. He sighed again and returned to eating. I turned slowly and looked in the direction of the school queen. Judging by the lively conversation and laughter coming from her table, Eli-sama had already forgotten all about the incident with my lowly serf self. The juice dried pretty quickly, leaving behind noticeably yellow stains on my yellow shirt. I didn't really care about my appearance, but the school had its standards and didn't take kindly to such sloppiness. So I had to change it to a jersey and track jacket. And after another uneventful lesson, it was time for the long break, also known as lunchtime. Had I agreed to meet Himitsu for lunch? I couldn't remember. I could just go for a stroll around the school, seeing as I'd eaten only an hour earlier. Yeah, Himitsu. Maybe we did agree, and I had simply forgotten. I had no interest in listening to Kyosuke's chatter, nor in chewing on the stale rolls from the cafeteria. Well, you do what you like, but I have an arrangement with Himitsu. Okay. He drew out the words cryptically. Well, there goes everything. All the classrooms in the school looked the same to me. Not just because they were in fact identical, but also because I didn't know a single person in them. But others knew me, so no one was surprised when the senior walked into the junior's classroom. Hey, I seem to remember what we planned to meet for lunch. Just in case. We didn't exactly. Himitsu seemed slightly caught off guard initially, but she quickly continued with a smile. But I guess we did, shall we? We walked outside and sat down on the schoolyard bench. Oh my gosh, she's so cute! She's so cute! Oh, anyway, moving on. Himitsu took out 2 bento boxes and said with a straight face, "Choose." But they're the same. No, they aren't. See, one is wrapped in blue and the other in red. I was sure that the difference ended there. Alright, then give me the blue one. Himitsu made me lunch every day, although for whatever reason, she shied from admitting it. She just always happened to have an extra bento on her, as if by accident. The way a guy would end up with an extra show ticket for a girl he liked. Here. Not really though, she wouldn't often tell me in advance that she was bringing a bento. But at times like this, she still surprised me. So, let's see what we've got here today. I unwrapped the box and opened it. Rice, tomatoes, tamagoyaki, and oh my, what have we here? Tamago Japanese omelette made of all cut into pieces. Alright. A meat patty. Wow. And of course, the mandatory grass. The whole thing was drowned in salad leaves. What's the occasion? I painted the patty with my chopsticks and held it onto my face as if trying to ascertain its authenticity. Well, you didn't like the breakfast. No, but wait a second. Didn't you prepare this before breakfast? Of course not. She laughed. I just decided to switch things up a bit. I really shouldn't have been complaining about her cooking. Especially considering that she did it all, free of charge, selflessly, no strings attached, and without expecting anything in return. Not even a thank you. My conscience was like a lump in my throat, preventing me from taking a bite, so I said, "Thank you. It's very good, and I'm sorry about this morning." I couldn't come up with a reasonable excuse even if I tried, so it was better to just apologize and leave it there. It's okay, I'm used to it. Himitsu laughed again, but now I felt even worse. I put my head down and focused on eating. I still feel bad for that girl, she sighed. Huh? What girl? Himitsu looked at me gravely. This morning, at the gate. Oh, right. Preoccupied with my meal, I drifted off for a moment. Have you talked to her since? No, I didn't really have anything to talk about. I noticed the reproach in Himitsu's eyes and continued. I mean, seriously, was I supposed to walk up to her and say, "I'm very sorry about what happened to you. Oh, and how about showing some thanks for the miraculous rescue?" Don't be like that, she's having a tough time. You know, somehow I didn't pick up on that. She's just hiding her feelings because it's a habit for her at this point. Himitsu grew sad. That's fine. I wasn't asking for flowers or medals or commemorative plaques. A simple thank you would have been enough. How hard is that, really? For you, it might be easy. So, am I in the wrong? I don't know. Finally, Himitsu smiled. Anyway, I'm glad you helped her. Yet at the time you were saying that we shouldn't get involved. I smirked. I did, but I've changed my mind. Why? Because what you did was the right thing. Somehow, Himitsu reminded me of a Soviet pioneer scout. The comparison made me burst out of laughter. I joked, and rice went flying everywhere. Now look what you've done. Took out a handkerchief and wiped off the grains of rice stuck to my face. Oh, wait, stop. What are people going to think? I was generally much more relaxed about this kind of thing than the Japanese, but dotting on me in public like that was perhaps crossing the line. I wondered why it didn't embarrass her. What should they think? Himitsu seemed genuinely perplexed. Nothing at all. I looked around in an exaggerated fashion to show we weren't alone. Don't worry about it. She smiled and started packing away the now empty boxes. Sometimes I just didn't get her. I got back to the classroom just a couple of minutes before the bell. Kyosuke was sitting at my desk talking to another classmate. Hey there, Romeo. How's lunch? It was fine. I replied concisely, but for some reason still looked away. The school day was coming to a close. Worn-out students had started counting off the minutes, but there's still one more class to go. Mitsu stopped in during the break to remind me that we had agreed to go shopping after school. At first, I had trouble figuring out what she was even talking about. Teacher was trying unsuccessfully to call the class to attention, but most students were ignoring him. I mean, a lot of good students at the school were genuinely invested in their education and keen to learn, but a good half only sat through the lessons for the sake of their prestigious diploma. Why worry about trivialities like grades or detentions when your whole life is planned out for you decades in advance? Settle down, the teacher kept repeating. Regrettably, he could not yell at them. Alright, if you don't calm down, you're not going to find out what we have a new girl joining us today. Instantly, the classroom plunged into silence broken only by a few whispers. A new student? In the middle of the year? Is she cute, I wonder? I wasn't particularly excited. I was used to constant gossiping, and I couldn't care less if the class gained another student since I didn't know the existing ones very well to begin with. Come in. A subdued murmur rippled through the classroom, but I felt too lazy to even lift my head. But then I felt a strong shove in the back. Hey! I turned around and looked at Kyosuke. He sat there, mouth ajar. Who could the new kid be that even these overprivileged children would react like that? I faced the black. Wait, what? The classroom was a world with the scarlet cherry petals. Does anyone really find them beautiful? But how? Why? The girl from my visions, this visitor from the past, was standing just a few meters away from me. Well, go ahead and introduce yourself. My name is Catherine Winters. Actually, I know a few people here already. She quickly surveyed the classroom without pausing on anyone in particular. I look forward to studying with you. She deliberately distorted the standard Japanese greeting. Catherine Winters. So official. She had always been just Kacha to me. She was the one who I had watched the petals fall. Then she moved away. She just left and never really gave me a reason. She left me alone, breaking my heart and shattering my dreams. I should have been mad, should have hated her even, but I couldn't. And how disgustingly tried and hackneyed it all was. Like, it had been trapped inside a second-rate shoujo manga. Now she just needed glittering sparkles around her face and some wispy clouds in the background. I would wait for it. Just nothing I wasn't used to. I rubbed my eyes and pinched myself hard. Nope, not a dream. Hey, Nick, why is she back? Do you know something? Why haven't you said anything? Kyosuke was prattling annoyingly behind my back. My world had contracted into a dark tunnel, with me at one end, immersed in total darkness, and her at the other, bathed in light. Except that waiting for me at the other end was surely no paradise. Meanwhile, the teacher showed Catherine to her desk. She walked past me without so much as a glance. I was at loss for words. Was I supposed to jump up in the middle of the lesson and scream, "What are you doing here?" The classmates' initial astonishment has faded away in the meantime. Many did, in fact, know Catherine. She had been a student at this school before. The rest probably just hadn't expected to see a foreigner. After all, there weren't that many of them even at our school. I doubted that they considered me a foreigner, that is, if they were aware of my existence at all. Whew. Okay, so am I recording again? Yes, I'm still recording. It's now almost 1 hour. So I gotta save this thing up just in case, so make sure that I won't have, so I'll make sure that I can't miss the progress on this one. But anyway, that was the first episode of Love, Money, Rock and Roll series, and actually this also brings back the time when I have actually made this video before a couple years back. So that is why today I decided to make a video again, and since this game is officially released, maybe I should make content about it. And I think it's time for me to back out a bit from Genshin and perhaps trying to think of something that maybe they could broaden up the contents and also the discoverability of my channel. But anyway, the game is available on Steam and you can download it if you want, both on PC and an Android. So make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this video, and also hit the subscribe button, and also hit the notification bell to get notified for the upcoming contents related to this one. And as always, I'll see you again on the next video. Take care and stay safe. Goodbye.